Are you thinking about moving to Richmond, Virginia and want to know where to live without getting in your car? Well, buckle up, because I'm about to give you a tour of RVA and we're getting after it right now. This is your first time in a channel and you want to know everything there is about living in Richmond, Virginia and the surrounding counties of Hanover, Henrico, Chesterfield, New Kent, Goochland, and Powhatan, then subscribe right below and tap that notifications bell so you can be the first to know about the current market in Richmond, Virginia. Hi, my name is Scott Dernley with Joiner Fine Properties. My team and I get calls from folks like you every single day looking for help making that move to the Richmond area, and we absolutely love it. So whether you're moving in 9 days, 90 days, heck, even 9 months, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email. All that information is linked in that description right below so we can help you make a smooth move to Richmond, Virginia. So this video is dedicated to what areas you may want to consider if you're moving to the Greater Richmond, Virginia area. This is going to be more of a bird's eye, high-level view looking at a geographical breakdown of RVA and not really all that neighborhood or home specific. If you were going to compare this to a college class, it would kind of be like RVA 101, the basics. Now, to make this easy, I'm going to break this video down into 3 segments. Where you want to live if you're going to be in the city of Richmond, where to live if you want to be in the suburbs, and where to live if you prefer a more rural setting. So let's get started with the city of Richmond. When I first moved to Richmond in the early 90s, I lived in the city. The first home I ever purchased in my entire life was in the city of Richmond. When I think of Richmond, I think of neighborhoods. Some of them that come to mind are Ginter Park, Laburnum Park, Bellevue, Brooklyn Park, and Battery Park in what's called the North Side. Then you have Carytown, the Museum District, the Fan, Scott's Addition, Church Hill, and then areas like Manchester and Westover Hills that are south of the river. I can't sugarcoat this though, living in the city is expensive. The cost of housing in the city is generally high compared to the surrounding counties. The city is our center of cultural activity with a lot of restaurants and nightlife, and people are willing to pay higher prices to be close to these things. Now, some of the more affordable areas in the city would be in north side areas like Laburnum Park and Battery Park, Church Hill, especially when you compare that to the Fan. Then anything south of the river like Manchester and Westover Hills tend to be a bit more affordable. The super walkable established neighborhoods like Carytown, the Museum District, and the Fan, they have tons of restaurants and nightlife, tend to be a bit more expensive. Now, I also mentioned Scott's Addition. There are not a lot of houses for sale in Scott's Addition, but there are a ton of brand new apartment complexes that are very cool. Now, if you've watched some of my other videos, you'll know that Scott's Addition is really ground zero for Richmond's microbrewing scene, and then there are also a ton of great new restaurants that have cropped up there. Now, kind of like Manchester, which is south of the river, Scott's Addition has gone through some major revitalization in the last decade. When I first moved to Richmond in the 90s, you would not have dreamed of living in Scott's Addition, but look at it now. Lots of young professionals who are not quite ready to buy are moving into Scott's Addition. So if you're in that category, it is definitely worth a look. So I have created a very handy relocation guide that can save you hours of time and effort, and you can link to that right below. It's a must download, and I think you'll get some great information out of it. So now let's say you don't want to live in the city. You want a more rural area with neighborhoods like you can walk in that might have pools, or you want the good county schools, but you still want to be fairly close to things. So the suburbs may be a great option for you. There are so many options in this category depending on which direction you want to go outside of the city. So south of Richmond, you have Chesterfield County, which is one of the largest counties geographically in the region. Got a lot of population too, just because it's so large. So within Chesterfield County itself, you have specific areas like Midlothian, Moseley, North Chesterfield, and Chester. Now, if you go north of the city, you can get into Hanover County and the Ashland area and places like Mechanicsville. This might be a good place to consider if you want to be in that I-95 corridor and you work a bit farther up north, like toward Fredericksburg. Now, if you go west of the city, you would hit Henrico County, with areas like Glen Allen, the West End, and Short Pump, which are very popular and worth taking a look at. Now, in each of these areas, here are some of the most popular neighborhoods that you may want to consider. Do a Google search and a little bit of digging on your own. But let's go over to Chesterfield, specifically in Midlothian. Some of my favorites are Founders Bridge, which is a golf course community that is very close to Route 288, which makes it super convenient. Tarrington on the James, like the name says, it's right on the James River and has a great boat landing and a lot of good neighborhood amenities. Or there's Salisbury, which is a little older community with classic Richmond colonial architecture and larger lots. There's also Halsley, which has been wildly popular over the last decade, which has amazing craftsman-style architecture and fantastic neighborhood amenities, which make it a favorite for young families. Now, moving out to that Hull Street corridor in Moseley, you have some of the new large master plan communities like Magnolia Green and Harper's Mill, and some older master plan communities like Brander Mill and Woodlake that have that lower price point. There is a lot of new construction in Moseley, so if that interests you, this is definitely an area to check out if you like that new construction. So moving over to Henrico County and Short Pump, there are some nice larger communities off of Knuckles Road like Wyndham, and then you have Wellesley south of Broad Street. There's a lot of luxury townhomes in Short Pump, with communities like West Broad Village and Greengate, just to name a few. Now, there's not as many new construction options in Short Pump as Moseley, but you do have a nice one in Bacova, which is a super convenient location, just close to just about everything. And then River Mill is also another great new construction option. Now, the suburbs will keep you out of the city, yet still close to tons of shopping, restaurants, and all the creature comforts, things like Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, your gym, big box stores like Costco, Sam's Club, Home Depot, and Lowe's. They also give you better school options compared to the city. As I stated earlier, this is a high level, like 10,000 foot bird's eye view looking at things. I have more specific videos on many of the neighborhoods that I just mentioned in the suburbs section if you want to check those out as well. Alright, last but not least, let's say you want some land. You want to be in a rural area and you don't mind a commute into the suburbs or even into the city, being a bit farther away from things like shopping, restaurants, and the creature comforts that I just mentioned. So south of the river, I would be thinking about Powhatan County, and then north of the river, I would be thinking about Goochland County. So in these areas, you will find communities with larger lots and homes that are not necessarily in a defined neighborhood, but can have very large lots like 10 plus acres. If you are thinking about a horse farm or anything along that line, these are the areas you should consider. One of the challenges in the more rural areas, though, can be high-speed internet access to that internet, although satellite providers like Starlink have mitigated this negative to some degree. So the rural areas are often for folks considering, that just want acreage and not necessarily a neighborhood. But if you do like neighborhoods and that is your cup of tea but still want to be a little more rural, I would look at Tillman's Farm, Gray Walls, Maple Grove, Aston, and Holly Hills in Powhatan, and then Breeze Hill, Mosaic at West Creek, Parkside Village, Reader's Branch, Rockets Ridge, and then Tuckahoe Bridge over on the Goochland side. Now keep in mind, if you live in one of these rural areas, it's still pretty easy to get anywhere you need to go. Traffic in RVA is generally pretty light. The major roads are I-64, I-95, I-295, and Route 288, which kind of form a beltway around Richmond. And then you have large arteries like the Powhite Parkway, which take you into the city. So between these 5 major roads, everything is pretty much interconnected. So no matter where you live, it's kind of easy to get from place to place and commute around the RVA. Well, that's it for your high-level overview of Richmond, the suburbs, and the rural areas, collectively known locally as RVA. I hope you found it helpful. Now, as I said before, I have a ton of videos on this channel that get into much more detail on these different areas and even specific neighborhoods, so make sure you check those out as well. Now, if you are considering a move to the Greater Richmond area and you need help setting up a home search, or just want more details or want to chat about some of these areas or the neighborhoods, feel free to reach out to me and my team. You can give us a call, shoot us a text, or send us an email. All of that info is linked right in that description below. And until next time, I hope to show you around town. Take care, folks.